Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and after an unbelievable 10 smartphone launches within a span of an year, Realme is out with two new phones, and today we're going to take a look at the more expensive one of the two. This is the Realme 5 Pro, a true successor to the Realme 3 Pro and also a sort of a successor to the Realme X as well. And in this video, we're going to find out if this phone is worth the price that you're going to pay for it. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. But before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because all the phones that you see launched, we put out a video of those phones as quick as possible. And if you want to get those updates, want to get those comparisons and reviews, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as I said. And also hit the bell icon right next to it so that you get notified when we put out a new video. So in this first impressions video, we're going to talk about 5 major upgrades on the Realme 5 Pro compared to the previous phone, which was the Realme 3 Pro. Now the Realme 3 Pro and the 5 Pro actually feel pretty similar. The Realme 3 Pro was also the same size as the Realme 5 Pro is right now. The button placement is also very similar. The ergonomic curves on the plastic sides of the plastic frame is also quite similar to the Realme 3 Pro, and I very much like the fact that the sides are still matte and not glossy. That just gives it a beautiful contrast where the back is glossy and the sides are plastic but matte. But the more interesting change is how the back actually looks. Now, when Realme came out the first times, while there was a plain red phone as well with the Realme 1, the more popular version was the diamond cut black variant. Was something that made the Realme 1 look very desirable. Now, the same philosophy did follow for some time. They also experimented with a back that I personally liked a lot, which was the matte diamond cut back, which we saw with the Realme C2 and the Realme 3i as well. But after the Realme 3 Pro's race track design, what we saw at the back, we are back to the diamond, sort of a diamond cut design, but this is called a crystal design, and you have a crystal green variant here. I am so glad that two colors, white and green, are coming back to phone because both of these are elegant colors and make almost any phone look premium. Of course, if you don't go the cartoony route. Now the second big upgrade comes with the standard camera. So the Realme 3 Pro actually sported a popular sensor from Sony, which was the Sony IMX519, the same sensor that was inside the OnePlus 60, but with the OnePlus 60, we now have the OnePlus 7. So Realme also decided to go for the Sony IMX586 sensor, the same sensor that the Realme X has, but also the same sensor that the OnePlus 7 and the 7 Pro have, and a lot of other phones. This sensor is probably one of the most popular smartphone camera sensors today, and we have that with the Realme 5 Pro. So the third big upgrade is the multiple camera setup. This is the first time that Realme is coming out with a commercially available phone that has more than 2 sensors. Realme X had 2 cameras, Realme 3 Pro also had 2 cameras, but the cameras were actually a standard sensor and a depth sensor. That was it. Realme never experimented with wide angle cameras or telephoto, but this time they are experimenting with some of them. So we have a standard 48 megapixel Sony IMX586, which we already talked about. We have a secondary 8 megapixel megapixel ultra wide lens with a field of view of 119 degrees, which is massive. Then you have the third sensor, which is very interesting, which is a macro lens. So this is a 2 megapixel macro lens, and you can actually go up to 4 centimeters close to the subject that you want to click a picture of, which is very close if you don't know how smartphone cameras shoot. And then you have finally the depth sensor, which will be used for portrait pictures. So this is the multi-camera setup on the Realme 5 Pro. It's among the very few phones under 20,000 that come with quad camera setups, let alone 3 cameras. And then you also have the front camera, which is the Sony IMX471, the same exact selfie camera that you saw with the Realme X. So you pretty much have the Realme X's camera, which is phenomenal, but 2 extra cameras at the back. One of them is a wide angle, one of them is a macro lens. Now again, this is not a review, so we're not going to tell you what the camera samples look like. So we're not going to give you our analysis because it'll take us time to analyze the pictures. But till that time, here are a few pictures taken using the Realme 5 Pros, all of those cameras, and let me know what do you think of the camera quality of the Realme 5 Pro. So now coming to the number 4 upgrade. Now this is an upgrade that a lot of people would argue should have happened before, but I guess better late than never. I don't think that's how that proverb is used, but whatever. So you have a Snapdragon 712 AI chipset inside the Realme 5 Pro. Now Snapdragon 710 is the chipset that powered the Realme 3 Pro, but it's also the exact same chipset that powered the Realme X. Now with the 3 Pro, people of course did not have a problem because the 710 is a very powerful processor, but with the Realme X, people did expect something better from it, at least the 712. That didn't happen with the X, but you have that with the Realme 5 Pro. So technically at this point, the Realme 5 Pro actually has a more powerful processor, at least on paper, compared to the Realme X. Now this of course also comes with UFS 2.1 storage and also LPDDR4X RAM. The highest end variant that you can get is 8 gigs of RAM and 128 GB storage. So that's awesome. So you get that Snapdragon 712 and all that power that comes with it. We'll of course tell you what the performance is like in the full review, but I think that 712 is going to impress a lot of people. Now finally coming to the last change. It's actually a very small change, but for the YouTube audience, I know how cranky you guys get when you guys don't see this change, and that is finally from the Realme 3 Pro you move to a USB Type-C port on the Realme 5 Pro. It still gives you VOOC 3.0, so you still get that 20-watt turbo fast charging, but you get that with the USB Type-C. I'm sure all of you guys are so happy right now. That said, even with the Realme 3 Pro, you got the same charging speed, so that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a USB Type-C or micro USB, you could give fast charging any of those ports, and Realme has truly done that with the 3 Pro and the Realme 5 Pro. But finally you do change to a USB Type-C, and while that probably doesn't change any performance aspects, that does change the fact that now all users of Realme 5 Pro will be using a more futuristic cable. Another upgrade that I noticed in the Realme 5 Pro, which is not necessarily a big upgrade, is that ColorOS actually looks cleaner. Now I only say it looks cleaner because that's all it is as of now. You'll see that the square toggles have now been moved to a rounder toggle, and you'll also see all the icons have also become rounder, and it's all a uniform looking UI. Of course, this is something that Realme has done to make sure that the experience is seamless, but also we have leaks of the Realme OS coming. We have no information on that, but let's hope that comes soon if that is coming. So with that, we come to an end of this video. Thank you so much for watching the first impressions of the 5 Pro. Tell me what you think about the 5 Pro. The fact that this has specs that are very similar or even better in some places compared to the Realme X. Also tell me what do you think about the fact that Realme 5 Pro is very similar or even better in some areas compared to the Realme X. Would you prefer the Realme X with an AMOLED display, or would you prefer the Realme 5 Pro with an LCD display but Snapdragon 712 and other things that come with it? With that, I guess we come to an end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sreehari from Mr. Phone. Wait for the review because that is coming very soon to our channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.